Hi guys, and welcome back to a history of saps, blackjacks, and slungshots. Next in my collection is this guy here, and it is one of the odder weapons you've ever seen, I'm willing to bet. So it's also a great illustration of how strange saps are just in general, like within the study of weaponry. Let's take a look, see what we can learn about it. So first of all, check that out. It's obviously got a composite nature like we've talked about. It's stitched not just there, but also here in a way. This is really odd. If you notice, it's got kind of this band, this flat band that runs all the way around it, back up, and then has kind of these cross bands holding it in place. So it's a pretty complex little thing here, right? You've got stitching there and that kind of longitudinal band with all these, like cross timbers, whatever you want to call them, holding it all in place. So pretty strange, and then it kind of ties up and leads to these two guys here. I call this thing a two tails. I verified that this was not a one-off example. These are really hard to track down, like almost impossible. But I did verify there was a Louisiana sheriff after the turn of the 20th century who carried one just like this. So that's enough of an indication for me that, this was not a unique design. I don't know how prevalent it was, but I bet it was one of the types that you would have seen back then. So I call it a two tails for obvious reasons. Nobody bothered to give many of these weapons names, so I do, and it's pretty easy to name this one, right? Now, noticeable things about this one. First, the size. Absolutely. This is the smallest sap I have. Here's my D3 protection baseline sap, and you can see there's no comparison, right? I mean, it is really, really small. Because of that, it's obviously pretty light. And the other noticeable thing is, of course, the tails, the very strange handle. Saps are just weird. Here's an impact weapon, and this is how you hold on to it with those two things. That's pretty bizarre, but I think it's pretty clever also, and you'll see that in a minute. Another thing about this guy that you'll notice on closer inspection, you're not going to hear this, I don't think, but I'll try. Nah, but this is a soft sap as well. It's not BBs or buckshot or anything like that. It's like larger, clunkier chunks of metal that are in there. But again, saps are weird. Why not just have a solid piece of metal in there? Well, somebody wanted at least a little bit of, kind of force diffusion. When this thing strikes, those pieces will shift, and that's going to diffuse some of the impact. Not a lot. As little as this one is, I would not dare to hit myself on the head with it, like I did with that colonial example. That was super light. I have no doubt this would do serious damage. Now, speaking of the tails, you would generally grab them as it rests in the holster, because this guy came with a holster. Now look at that. Look how homespun that is, right? And lawmen did carry things this, this kind of rough back in the day. It's obviously not flashy. It's not polished. But until weapons, and including saps, started to get kind of mass-produced later in the 20th century, they would absolutely walk around with something like this. Talk to the local saddle maker, holster maker, someone like that, and say, hey, I need a sap for when I walk the rounds. That's my guess as to this one, because it has a belt loop. And if you wear this on your belt, you're not trying to hide it. You could, maybe under a coat or something, but I have a feeling you weren't trying to hide this. It's just your secondary, maybe primary weapon, but probably secondary. And just sitting there, ready to go if necessary. You grab on, pull it out, and ready to strike. Repeat if necessary. So I talked last time about how I'm a fan of having kind of a solid grip, right, on my weapon. This one is obviously not like that, but it's also not one of those loops. It's not a 3-finger loop or a 2-finger loop or even a 1-finger loop. It's got this. Now, like I said, it's a pretty clever design because it just sticks out of the holster. It could also stick out of a pocket, right? You put it in your pocket. These two just trail out, look completely innocuous, and you can put it in your hand on it. You don't look threatening at all, and it can come out of your pocket when you secure the phone and strike, right, at a moment's notice. But if I'm going to have kind of a loose handle, what I really like about this one is that you can just twirl one finger around it. And believe it or not, that is a very secure grip. Because it's twirled all the way around, this is not going to come out of my hand, no matter how hard I swing it. And I really like that. That's pretty unique, gets the job done, leaves your hand very free. If I let go of that because I need my hand to grapple or whatever, I can certainly do it. I still have most of my hand to at least somewhat grapple. I don't know if the technique ever got that far with these. I certainly doubt it. But that is something kind of cool about the design. So, again, one of the more unique ones in my collection, and this is the two-tail. Thank you.